Hello and welcome to this complimentary webinar. I'm Chris Badgett with Wes Tatters from Rapyd Cloud Hosting. That's it, rapid.cloud. Rapyd is spelled R-A-P-Y-D. Wes has been on the podcast before. Michael from Rapyd Cloud has been here before. We're going to get into how to upgrade your WordPress LMS hosting to remove problems. We're going to dive in a little bit on what the common problems are in the WordPress LMS hosting industry. But first, welcome, Wes. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Chris. G'day. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Doing
Good to
great.
hear.
Hosting is essential for any, WordPress site, but the LMS sites are particularly taxing on hosting. They require a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Tools like Lifter LMS also have e-commerce components. E-commerce is also taxing. Some people are doing social learning, either with BuddyBoss or Lifter LMS Social Learning or BBPress or some kind of forum system, which is also taxing on the hosting. Yet the secret of the hosting industry is that traditionally it's really been built around the original WordPress,
Yeah.
which was not so much a web application, but just a publishing platform. But time has moved on, innovation has
Yeah.
moved on. We're not just building websites, we're building web applications. Um, Tell us about Rapyd Cloud, particularly around the concept of the problem that you saw and like the angle that Rapyd Cloud focused on to create a new paradigm for more advanced WordPress hosting.
I think the thing to understand about, we say, oh, Lifter is heavy on servers, or WooCommerce can be heavy on servers. I think it's important to understand that it's not that they're heavy on servers. It's more that they get more traffic than what I would call a traditional blogging site. So if you think about a normal blog site, you've set it up, you've decided to put photos of your cat, whatever it is, or your business marketing site or your business landing site, whatever it is. The reality is that most people that have built a site like that are absolutely over the moon when they start getting 100 visitors a week.
Yeah.
And for many, that can take a considerable amount of time to have that sort of consistent, reliable traffic. And that's the standard experience for a blogging site. 50, 100 visitors a week, that's good traffic, to their sites. When they reach that point where they're at 100 visitors a day, they're saying to go, this is real. Oh, hang on. My WooCommerce site, I'm actually getting 100 checkouts a day. It feels incredible. Because that's all of a sudden validating their business. They're selling their products, 100 visitors a day. But when we talk about those visitors, we think about traditionally someone who comes to a site is there for not very long. Now, if you talk to Google, if you talk to, SEO experts and all those sort of people in that space, they'll tell you that the average time on site is under 2 minutes. That's the average time on site. Why? Because most sites are treated like a sales funnel. And if it is a sales funnel, that's what we want. We want them in, down the funnel, hit the engage to buy button, load their credit card up, hit OK, and then we want them gone. Thank you very much, and I'll send you an email and your product will be in the mail on Monday. That's the traditional, sort of journey. So 100 sites a week, we're looking good. 100 sites a day, we've got a real business. Now let's talk about Lifter or any of those dynamic platforms. They're the reverse. Lifter, for example, wants people on their platform for an extended amount of time.
All day.
All day, all week sometimes. It's a 96-hour course that they've built to build someone's knowledge. And also we know that from the experience of building courses that you build a course and the idea is it's going to be let's say it's an hour-long course. Most people don't complete it in an hour. They, switch on, they switch off, they engage, they come back, they go, oh, I haven't done that yet, or they get interrupted, the cat knocks over their cup, they're gone. So the engagement time, the amount of time that the person's on your site is going to be much, much longer. So even if there's only one person a day on your site, they could be on there for 8 hours, clicking, checking boxes, answering quizzes, watching videos, all those things that we do in a learning experience. Then let's say it's social learning on top of it. Oh, look, we've added a group chat or a live chat or a group forum or somewhere where they can upload their own media or their own comments and chats. Even small numbers of people are on these sites for a long time. Now, what that means is that blogging site that was, sort of built for, or WordPress, that was built for small numbers of visits, saying hi and moving on. All of a sudden, you've added, I'm here all day, I'm clicking, I'm doing lots of actions. So then we come to the underlying problem of WordPress. Well, not so much WordPress, but the language that we use. We use a language called PHP. WordPress is built in PHP. PHP has something that pretty much everyone has heard of. It's called a PHP worker. Very few people understand what it does, but the best way to describe it is every time you draw a page or you go to a link and that page from a WordPress site is rendered, while you're logged on, it can't be cached. It can't be stored in the cloud. It can't be delivered from an edge platform. Cloudflare can't get any benefits from it, all those sorts of things. It takes a PHP worker, one, to draw that page. Now, that PHP worker, one PHP worker drawing that page every time. PHP worker, draw that page. PHP worker, draw that page. It uses two things. It uses server memory and it uses server CPU resources. Now, we know that on an average site, a PHP worker on a blogging site might only use 64 megabytes of RAM, tiny. But on an average WordPress lifter, BuddyBoss, WooCommerce, and we've added gamification and we've added WP Fusion and we've added automation flows and we put a CRM on it as well, and we've got these sites that are vibrating, and they're using 200 and 300 megabytes of RAM per PHP worker request. So at the end of the day, that little WordPress site that you originally hosted on, something's got to give, and what tends to give is the amount of available RAM. Now, some sites will say, unlimited PHP workers. It's like, well, you can't really have unlimited unless you've got unlimited RAM. And we know that you can't buy unlimited RAM because we all own Macs and iPhones. And, hey, you get 65 megabytes or you get, whatever it is. So in the server space, in reality, it's actually much less. So what starts to happen is that your little server has just enough memory for maybe 5 or 10 PHP workers. Remember I said one of those workers has got to run every time you do a page draw? Well, if you've got 10 people and you've got 10 PHP workers, you can only do 10 page draws at the same time. Now, again, on a blogging site, not a problem. Lifter, BuddyBoss, whatever, that might be going, answer question, answer question, answer question, answer question, enter next page, answer question, answer question, answer question, answer question, watch a video, answer question. Every one of those events is another PHP worker firing. One after the other, after the other, after the other. And we've only been talking about one person. But hey, the thing that's really in vogue right now, and especially in learning platforms, is cohort learning.
Yeah.
Let's start a new cohort on Monday morning at 9 a.m. 100 people. All going, answer question, answer question, answer question. all at the same time, all on the same little server, all trying to do the same thing. So what we start to do is get problems. We start to see 502 errors. We start to see 503 errors. We start to see, out of memory errors. We start to see sites that get slower and slower and slower. Because these servers still try and help you. So they'll go, sure, I'll queue up all the PHP worker requests and I'll get to you soon. And the more requests, the longer the queue gets. The longer the get to you soon gets, the more. And so the sites start to get slower and slower and slower and slower. So we wind up with, I guess it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that when WordPress sites become successful, the shared hosting that you originally tried to run them on no longer is practical. So at Rapyd, we looked at a way to fix that. You had a question?
Well, that was my question is, well, how did you fix that? If many of the other hosts are kind of set up for blogging and not dynamic, high traffic, concurrent user sites, how did you find a path to meet the need?
We took a different position. We took a position that says our sites are going to be busy. Our sites are going to have multiple concurrent users, and our sites need to be the highest performance possible. So we started with extremely high performance web servers. They're fourth and fifth generation, AMD and Intel, CPUs. These are not boxes that are 10, 15 years old. But that's where a lot of the serving business is, they're expensive, I'll be honest. They're not cheap servers, but they can run up to 10 times faster than older legacy, shared hosting servers can run. We then said people need memory, people need CPU power, and people need high performance disk space. So we built servers that matched all those needs. We then paired it with a high performance web environment, which is a web environment called Lightspeed. Lightspeed web servers were specifically custom designed for concurrent usage. Primarily the opposite of Apache, which was, never really designed for a lot of concurrent usage. We then made one final decision. We made a decision that said we have to make this work without caching, page caching in particular. Sure, you can use object caching, you can use, PHP worker caching and Redis caching, and you can use AP caching. But let's then optimize and configure all these tools to be specifically focused on highly concurrent workspaces. And make that available to everybody. So it doesn't matter if you buy our starter plan, our business plans, our performance plans, or our enterprise plans. You're getting the same server environment. You're getting the same performance levels. And instead of going, oh, you buy a cheap plan, you get a slower server, we went, everyone gets the same server. What we'll do is basically vary the number of concurrent workers. So that's primarily what we change. And as our plans step up, it's basically adding more concurrent users and allowing you to handle more requests in real time on the same server space.
That's awesome. So, like, one of the interesting things with Rapid Cloud is that's a heavy lift to figure all that out.
Yeah.
So, like from a pricing standpoint, like Rapid Cloud needs to be a profitable business.
Yeah.
And you mentioned shared hosting, but even managed WordPress hosts that have more resources or whatever, you still have to like figure out a way to add all this value. So I guess the question is two-sided. Like, what's going on in the traditional hosting industry from a pricing perspective? And the other side of that question is how did Rapid figure out how to deliver this affordably? Because when I look at your pricing, it's very affordable, particularly if it's a real LMS business
Yeah.
or a real e-commerce membership site or online community business. The plans are competitive with other managed WordPress hosts. So what's going on in the legacy managed WordPress versus here, in that you guys are able to make it work economically?
So there's a term called race to the bottom.
Okay.
I think it was coined by a couple of the bigger and well-known shared hosting companies. And they've been in a quite an aggressive race to the bottom in terms of the cheapest WordPress hosting. Maybe we can give it away for free. And the way they've achieved that is three things. Firstly, not upgrading their servers and their data centers.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just let them keep running. The box was built 10 years ago.
No
Still,
upgrades. Yeah.
just run a hairdryer over it and blow out the dust. And just keep them running. I met a guy at Cloudflare this year from Lithuania, and I said, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "I recycle server boxes." I said, "Oh, yes, yeah. Much business in that?" He said, "I have semi-trailers arriving every day, and they're coming from data centers. They come in." He effectively gives them blows out the dust and reseats the components. Oh, that memory's, and maybe swaps out a little bit of RAM, puts it in plastic wrapper, and sends it back. He's making a really tidy living out of refurbishing and updating and just keeping these old data servers running. So they might have bought them 10 years ago.
A lot's changed in 10 years.
But they've amortized them to zero.
Right.
And they still will quite happily run a WordPress blogging site. And then what they do is they backload those servers with lots and 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 lots of websites. We call it overcommit. So they might put 1,000 websites on a server rack, or sometimes even more. So they overcommit the resources on the basis that 95% of the people who are paying $2.50 are in that be excited if they got one visitor a day category, or are still building their site. So they just continually overcommit them. So firstly, race to the bottom. And the second thing the third thing they do is they basically drop things like support.
Yeah.
Support becomes an outsourced set of scripts, in a call center somewhere, overseas. And it's often just ticketed support, not live. And my server's down, all right, and you wait for someone to get back to you a day later. So that's become the model. When we looked at how we price Rapyd and how we make it price competitive, we went, let's part with AWS, well-known company. Let's get the right boxes, let's get the right performance, and then work out a platform model, which is our secret sauce, the infrastructure that runs our app, that can dynamically give customers the processes they need in real time. So in traditional hosting, you might be on a shared server. As I said, you might have 1,000 people on that server with you. We went, let's think about this differently. Let's think about every customer having a VPS, or a virtual private server of their own. It's their own web server. It's got their own database. It's got their own relay, it's got their own Redis, sort of processor. It's got their own database. It's got their own web server. But traditionally, if I was building, say, a BuddyBoss site, and I went to AWS, I'd have to buy an 8-core, 16 gigabytes of RAM server, because that's what BuddyBoss recommends. It's similar to what Lifter needs. Maybe you could get away with 4 cores and 8 gigabytes of RAM. But, optimally, 8 cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM. And that costs you real money, $250, $300 a month from someone like AWS. You can get some cheaper versions of that if you're willing to build it your own, sort of on different platforms. But you effectively pay for that server whether you use it or not. So what we said is, let's work out a way to load manage our customers. Let's give them a VPS and work out a way that says, if you're not using those CPU cores, we'll load manage that for you. And it's what we call our dynamic boost technology. Basically allows us to give a customer a full server of their own. It's a VPS running in the cloud. It's a, a containerized platform. And if they're not busy, they might only be consuming one CPU core, half a gigabyte of RAM. As they get busy, they get more resources added to them in real time dynamically. So that enabled us to price our platform to spread that load. We could basically say, hey, we can give you higher performance. We can give you better specs. We can give you more CPU workers, more CPU, more RAM, and more PHP workers. And we'll do a deal with you. You spread that load across a month, and providing you can stay within, reasonable, acceptable usage, you can do that. And what we know is that most Buddy Boss sites and Lifter sites are like that. So it'll go up and down and up and down and up and down. So providing the downs and the ups balance out, they'll get extra resources effectively inside their plan. What it can do is cover those viral events. It can cover that, oh, Monday morning I'm starting a new cohort and I only really need 16 CPU cores for the first 2 hours. Because after the first 2 hours, everyone disappears off and they're going to complete the course during the rest of the week. But during that hour on Monday morning where the entire cohort's logging on and trying to do their first 10 quizzes or whatever it is, that's when I need the resources. So Rapyd lets you go, have a lot of resources, and then it scales down and settles down again. So we thought about this specifically from a dynamic hosting platform basis.
I love that. Dynamic boost technology, I think you called it. That's really cool.
Yep. Yep.
I know like a in-person foreign language teacher,
Mm.
and she has all her students in the classroom with their iPads, and they're really busy for that 1 hour,
Mm.
but the site is essentially dead on the weekend, dead at night. She only has like whatever 4 sections a day, so it's all over the place, you know?
Yeah, we have a site that it's an old customer site of mine that they provide stock tips.
And the market's
So
only open at certain times, right?
well, they literally provide them at 6 a.m. every morning.
Okay. Yeah.
And the site is, every one of their customers is on between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. to
Yeah.
look at the notes and talk to each other and discuss the trading plan for the day. Then nothing.
Yeah.
Crazy busy, then nothing. Literally, there's no one there. Oh, there might be one person occasionally logging on who's been, oh, I was referred by a friend and I'd like to buy in, type thing. But yeah, it's that sort of model. And that's the way Rapyd was built, to allow that sort of capability. I've got a Maori learning experience. So the Maori language is a New Zealand indigenous language. A lady who's passionate about teaching. It's no longer taught effectively in schools. So she was passionate, and she went, I could build a website and teach some Maori language. She had 5 or 10 people on it. She was happy. Till the New Zealand government went, oh, we love this. Could we have all of our students log on once a day?
Yeah.
Again, 3.5 or 30,000 or 40,000 students logging on once a day, but still 95% of them want to log on at 9 a.m. in the morning for an hour, and then there's no one there. And there's no one there on weekends, and there's no one there after 3 p.m. So she's got a server that literally, for the want of a better part, 4 hours a day needs to handle 30,000 users, and for the rest of the day, there's crickets. So in the traditional hosting world, they'd have to have bought the biggest plan for the
If they're
biggest
doing
server
that
need.
all the time, right?
Yeah, because no one else thinks like that. They went to AWS. AWS will go, sure, AWS has a feature where if you turn the server off, you don't get billed.
Oh,
But that doesn't help that particular customer. I've still got to have the site up, but,
yeah,
so there are heaps of different ways that you can do it, with load balancers and sharing and things like that, but they're way beyond the complexity of most of our customers. There is a subset of our customers that want to build data centers and load balancers and servers. Our customers just want a website. They want to click one button on the dashboard. I can show you one of our sites if you'd like to have a quick look.
sure.
Let me just see if this is going to work for us today. Share screen. We built an incredibly user-friendly, we built an incredibly user-friendly dashboard. Underneath what we're seeing here is it is a VPS. It's Amazon, but you are completely disconnected. You don't need to know how to A, sign up for Amazon, B, navigate through the 3.5 million buttons and menus. If you want a website, one click. Key in a couple of values, and away you go. This is one we set up earlier. This website has where's Lifter? It just looks like a simple, well laid out dashboard. It's focused on WordPress, and you'll see that in the first thing on our dashboard is our WordPress button, which tells us information about sort of our themes, tells us the current version of WordPress, and allows us to turn on debugging if something goes horribly wrong. Importantly, we let people do things like rolling back. This
Okay.
isn't inside your WordPress site. It's inside the dashboard. One of the most common support tickets for any hosting company is my website's crashed.
Yeah.
Yes, we've observed that WordPress or plugin X or plugin Y has updated overnight and crashed your server. And then they tell them that they have to do something like effectively roll back to a backup or restore, where in reality it would be a rule, as simple as plug in there. I can look at the theme, roll back a version, and
That's
your site
nice.
comes back up. So in traditional hosting, A, they've had to have a support ticket to address the problem. B, the host has probably told them to roll back from a backup, which means that they're going back to the last time the platform was looked at. If they've got a backup, because lots of hosts don't even have backups, and they've lost data. Now, Lifter, we can't roll you back. Buddy Boss, we can't roll you back because someone was on the site for 7 hours lovingly completing that course. We can't roll back their data. So what we can do is things like rolling back their plugins or their themes or WordPress on its own. So we thought about those are the important things. The second thing that was important is security. Unfortunately, WordPress, with 43 or 44% of the world's web hosting business, is a massive big red target.
Yeah.
What that means is that, respectfully, if your site hasn't been hit by malware, get ready because it's going to happen soon.
Right.
And malware happens in two areas. One is obviously with malware that's on your platform, and we natively protect and secure every site at the server level. Not a plugin that you add in. It's installed at the server level and monitors and tracks every part of the WordPress site in real time. We also have another product, which is our Site Shield. It's an optional thing, but something we do recommend for customers. Unfortunately, it has to be registered at the site level. One of the things that we changed, and when we first built our platform, we were very heavily containerized. And what that meant is that every plan, one CPU core or multiple CPU cores, and one WordPress site. A lot of our customers said, that's great for our Buddy Boss sites, but we just need 2 or 3 other small sites to do some marketing or some sales funnels, all that sort of stuff. So we spent a lot of time early this year upgrading our platform, and I haven't got one turned on this particular dashboard, but we now have the ability to have multiple sites in the same customer plan. Each plan has different levels, so the smaller plans and a couple of sites And as you get up into business plans, there's 5 and 10 sites, and performance plans, there's 20 sites, and enterprise, 30 plus sites in the same container. But because our advanced site shield technology, which is virtual patching, requires a license per site, it would effectively make the cost of a plan 30 times more prohibitive if you had to buy them up front. So what we do is we say, look, platforms are multi-site, but we suggest that you then add on your advanced site shield, which is virtual patching technology, per site. And the customer can do that as an add-on in their dashboard. But so we think about things WordPress first. As I said, this is a new site, so the backup system is still free deploying for the first launch. I'll see if it comes up in a minute. We install backups, and they run natively on the platform, and they run I'm being a bit generous. Backups run every day for customers. We back up the database, and we back up their files every day, and we back them up incrementally, and we back them up off-site. Worst place you can store a backup is on your WordPress site.
Yeah.
I see an awful lot of work. Oh, but I've installed really good products like Updraft or Duplicator. Great backup products, but they're stored on your site.
Yeah.
You get hit by malware or your site crashes. You've got nothing. So we store all of our data in a separate data center in effectively a different region. So it's not even in the same location. We actually, if you're in Dublin, Ireland, we actually store your data in Frankfurt. If you're in, North Virginia, we store your data in Ohio. If you're in Oregon, we store your data in North Carolina. Entirely separate data centers. Entirely distributed, and we also store them using S3 style technology, which is bucket type technology pioneered by AWS, where the data is then multiply replicated around the world. So we have incredibly secure backup storage. Look, sites also have all the standard stuff hidden under here that a VPS would give you, some access to domain management, access to databases, and SSH and SFTP access, even a full file manager that points straight into your WordPress site so that you can, very quickly do those silly little things like, I just needed to edit my WP config file, which would again potentially involve, a deal of complexity. And we'll just, there's a WP config file there that we could go in and edit, hit save, and it's done. All these things are done for a reason: simplicity, and to enable the customer to manage their own site.
One of the things I'm seeing here looking at this dashboard is the simplicity, but also the focus on the user.
Yeah.
And maybe you could give us some general education in the sense that some web hosts, they don't just do WordPress. They do lots of different things.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
then there's like cPanel and Plesk, but this is like a custom dashboard, I
It's fully
believe.
custom. It's fully built. We built our dashboard to manage AWS.
Yeah.
Big complex data centers, AWS infrastructure, all that technology that gives us the performance and power we need. But in a dashboard, which is incredibly user-friendly, is designed for the task that the customer needs. Now, depending on your WordPress site, for example, if you're a WooCommerce customer, and this site isn't a WooCommerce one, if you're a WooCommerce customer and you're on one of our performance plans, for example, you have the option to enable a heap of WooCommerce features, including things like Elasticsearch, which is a high performance search technology that effectively turns those slow product searches on those WooCommerce sites that have got 50,000 products and people are trying to match them to groups and things like that, and turns them from quite slow experiences to instant searches. We also have a heap of smart caching technology. while we say, for example, that a lot of what you do in dynamic sites can't be cached, there is an edge cache, and it's WooCommerce. If
Yeah.
you treat WooCommerce intelligently, like we do, you can actually page cache an entire WooCommerce site.
Yeah.
But what you've got to be able to do is have a underlying server that knows when to invalidate pages. So it's got to know that, oh, that product's just had its price updated. Oh, that product's no longer available because their quantity is now at 0. Oh, we've just applied a discount to that particular product. So we use a WooCommerce set of dynamic technology. It watches every product in WooCommerce, and if it sees a product change, it will flush the cache for that product. If it sees a group of products change, it will flush that group of products, which means that the next person that visits the site will reload the cache. So it gives us that ability to think very, sort of proactively about those sort of things. And by thinking like that, everything we do makes life easier for the customer. Silly things, and everyone goes, how do we, the WP admin button is most of our customers' favorite button. They're forever forgetting their passwords.
Yeah.
Um,
So log right
and
in. If you can get into your hosting, you can get into your WordPress.
and we know from experience that I have a lot to do with the cPanel community, and I was talking to a cPanel engineer, and they were saying, yeah, average time of visit on a cPanel is about a minute, and that you're lucky if they're there once every 6 months.
Yeah.
Because A, it's too scary, and B, they don't know what to do when they get there. But with Rapyd, we know Cassidy will do site maintenance, and the dashboard might be down for 5 minutes because we're doing a site maintenance, and we publish a note, but we'll still get 10 tickets. I can't access it. Yeah. See the banner that says the dashboard is getting. See the email that said we're doing 5 minutes of site maintenance. Well, there's 10 people still managed to log a ticket in real time, and that's the other thing. Ticketing is obviously a first-class feature of our platform.
Right there.
It's right there. Importantly, full knowledge base built in. We have a native AI product that's built into our platform, which allows me to ask a question like technical support, and this is how can I add a domain? Is a good question. And Finn will go out and start actually having a very intelligent conversation. It'll go out and find information. It'll actually pull in the data. It'll give you the steps from our database, from our knowledge base. No, and I can ask them, well, just like I was using ChatGPT or something like that. And for a number of our customers, I've discovered that they play with Finn. They'll come in and just start asking questions and, hey, can you tell me if I can do this? And they'll just talk with Finn, and we'll go through and we'll do our weekly support call and go, so, what's our Finn load this week? Yeah, sort of, we had 150 tickets that were served by Finn. They never bothered to talk to the customer support team.
Which shows a
Finn,
good implementation of AI. Like,
yeah,
yeah, because
yeah.
it works and it's instant, and I'm
And
sure
it's
the
and
ticket
and
support's
it's pulling
awesome, but if you can just get an answer, the right answer from AI
and
really
it's
fast, why
and it's
not?
pulling in real information, and it's information that, and it'll also do things that'll actually link them out. So we've got a very large knowledge base that we've created. You can access the knowledge base yourself. You'll find that there's, I'll just close Finn here for the moment, but we've got a very large knowledge base of information on our platform that people can again search. It's all article linked. There's articles about website management, account management, referral programs, bunches of guides that we've just been building over time about things like XML RPC and things like crons and Linux and all those sort of things that we see in a WordPress space. So, but again, everything customer focused. What does the customer need? As I was saying before, WordPress sites, WooCommerce sites will get an extra tab that pops up. Hey, you've got a WooCommerce site. Did you know that these features are available? BuddyBoss. Obviously, we were built out of the BuddyBoss space. BuddyBoss has this very powerful app technology, BuddyBoss app, that allows people to run, on their mobile devices. If you've got a BuddyBoss site with BuddyBoss app, you get a BuddyBoss app tab, and that app tab lets you do things natively in our dashboard, like rebuild your app, redeploy a new build of it, do test versions, share tests, and things like that. So you think customer focused first, and customers are happy, but we're also developer focused.
Yeah.
So we offer, now there's not going to be much logging here, obviously, because I've only just turned this server on, but we offer logging technology that has access logs, site error logs, PHP error logs. You can download them natively here. You don't have to go and dig through folders in servers to try and find all of your logs. You can download them. You can look at any site errors that were on the platform. You can look at PHP error logs. And interestingly, we're running on a site at the moment. Remember I said we're running multi-site. If I go just up here for the moment and I go back to here, what we find is that we're actually running inside a server still, and we still have the ability to manage that server, not just the site. So we can manage, the Linux server. We can start and stop it. We can manage Lightspeed, MariaDB. We use a Redis type technology called KeyDB, which is a high performance, highly concurrent version of Redis, and all those things that sort of a person at the site level wants to do. And we still give the customer access to all of that data as well within inside the platform. You can see that was our server and that was the site within there. So we think very laterally about where people are, but interestingly, we also have platform logs. So we're now in the server, so we're in platform logs, and you'll find that there are even more logs. We have Redis logs and database logs and error logs and more error logs and more error logs and all those things that you could potentially use, but most customers just don't know how to access them. But we do focus on making those things easy. Sort of one of the things that we're focused on at the moment, we're doing a lot of work with compliance for things like SOC 2 and ISO 27001, GDPR, HIPAA, all the acronyms. One of the things that
we get the HIPAA request at Lifter LMS a lot.
Yeah, HIPAA's a challenge. We're, I think, just about 95% of the way through our certification for HIPAA.
Nice.
But HIPAA's interesting. You'll see here, we're actually logging every time the server has been touched.
Yeah.
So we're actually saying, look, the host service was started, someone connected to root to perform an action. And this is when you get into HIPAA.
Yeah.
Now, we don't currently log the WordPress side. So even though we will be HIPAA compliant, that still doesn't mean that your website will be HIPAA compliant. The server will be, but a person that wanted to be HIPAA compliant would literally have to go and do their own compliance.
It's a team effort. I get that.
Well, it's more complicated than that. So
I just mean like Lifter needs to be HIPAA compliant also, not just the hosting.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But it's not just HIPAA. It's not just, say, Rapyd and Lifter. The customer has to be HIPAA compliant.
Yeah.
They have to have done things like ensured that the laptop that they access their site from is, as an admin user, is an encrypted laptop. They have to, the hard disk has to be encrypted, and it has to have the ability to automatically log itself out after 5 minutes, and they have to have, all those things that we can't control, Lifter can't control. But there are all these extra things that go on in the platform that just add complexity. So yeah, HIPAA and the scary thing about HIPAA is something called what do we call it? Encryption at rest.
Okay.
And what effectively that means is that when someone enters a bit of, say, health data into your website, that data has to be encrypted. in a way that can't be accessed. Now, WordPress has no ability to encrypt data natively. Now, I'm not talking about, yes, my hard disk is encrypted. I'm talking about the physical bit of health data that has to be encrypted in such a way that only a person with the appropriate level of permission can decrypt it. So, yeah, it's a complex system. This is an example. We're talking about, how our platform works with Boost. Now, this is obviously a very small test server, but you can see that we actually track in real time the amount of CPU and RAM processors that are allocated, and that's that even that shaping in a small period of time. Now, that little bar there in this particular area is a very small plan, is the what we call the resource limit. Now, if your site was busy and that blue bar and the red bar were at exactly the same level, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you'd still be within our resource limits. But in reality, that red bar, the blue bar could burst right up here
Yeah,
and then come back down again. So we think about, and the same thing goes on for RAM, and to a certain extent also we manage traffic as well.
that's
So yeah,
awesome. Well,
it's thinking differently.
I appreciate the tour of the dashboard. I love seeing something built from first principles. I'm gonna pull that down just back to us.
Excellent.
That first principles approach is it's all about the customer, the community course,
It is.
e-commerce site. What do they need? Let's make the customer happy. Let's make the developers happy. It shows that this is like well thought out, which is
Yeah.
amazing. What?
The other the
Go
other
ahead.
comment I would make,
Uh-huh.
so I think that's just a comment about pricing. People will still say, "Oh, but I can get a XYZ for $5 or those sort of things." And I go, "Why would you? For your core business, which you need up 100% of the time, you need it to be the same performance experience for every customer that arrives."
Yeah.
If you were building a fashion brand and you were putting a shop in the high street, unless you were extremely avant-garde, you'd make sure the shop was in the right position, the lighting, the dressing, the floors, the shelving was all perfect, and you'd be paying up to 25% of your profits for the privilege of being on that high street.
Yeah. And it's
For
it's
some
very
reason in the WordPress space, we go, "Oh, I earned $10,000 last month. Why should I pay more than $1.50 for my website?"
yeah, it doesn't make sense like like in your fashion example, it's like a school that has real estate,
Yeah,
but sometimes the doors won't open, and that's
yeah,
not a good thing.
no.
So, like and how
And
much
let's
do you
just say,
pay for your real estate, whether you're
yeah,
renting or owning it or mortgaging
yeah,
it or whatever?
the web gives you the ability to have that school open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And
Regardless of
again,
one person or tens of thousands are coming in the door,
and
right?
again, why do people discount the value? And people say, "Oh, well, you're just trying to make money." And I said, "Well, I'm in business like anyone else, but I've built my business. We've built Rapid in such a way that it's designed to ensure that your site's always up. The
Doors are
experience
open.
is the same for every customer. If one customer or 1,000 customers logs on, or even 10,000 customers, we can work out a way to handle it for you inside our platform. And importantly, you as the customer don't need to know about any of that technology. You can
And
go on with your core business. And what's that? Selling courses, selling products, running
making new
communities,
courses. Yeah.
making new courses, whatever it is, that's your business. We'll focus on the technology for you. We'll ensure that your sites are backed up, that your sites are up to date, that your platforms are reliable. You focus on your core business and we'll partner with you.
That's awesome, Wes. And just as we land the plane here, what, particularly if somebody's experiencing some challenges with their current hosting situation in terms of site speed and loads or memory issues, timing out, and things like that. I know some people, particularly, do it yourselfers who have been doing it
Yeah,
for a while,
and you can.
it can feel challenging to switch hosts, but how could somebody think about migrating to Rapid, and what would that look like?
So we offer 100% white label migrations. Um, our migration team, on average, can migrate a site in about an hour and a half from the time they get the request, and the average downtime is about 2 to 4 minutes.
And just to be clear, it might be an Australian US thing. What do you mean by white label?
Oh, it basically be or white glove, I guess. Yeah, it's like
Okay, white
it's
glove. So it's
yeah,
free.
yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
is
it's
that
it's
at an extra cost or is that
no, 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 no,
okay.
no, no. It's a part of, again, putting the customer first.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's a pressure point. Oh, it's so hard. I'm really concerned. What if my site goes down? What if my domain name doesn't migrate? What if I'm offline for hours? We've developed workplaces and protocols. We actually migrate the site twice. So
Okay.
actually, we migrate the site into a test server. Our migration specialists analyze the site, they do performance analysis, and they make recommendations to the customer. The customer can test their site and they can run everything. It's in a vanity URL. Um, but we've now done the heavy lifting. We've got the data. We've got what might be sometimes 50 or 100 terabytes of files and media. We've got all that moved. So then when the customer says go, all we're really going to be doing is putting their old site into maintenance mode, which means no one else can log on.
Yeah.
We're just going to transfer the difference.
Yeah.
So we've already got most of the files. We're just going to say, just give me those last 50 files.
Yeah.
And that's almost instant. We do the same thing. And then we pick up the database, which is never big, compress it, move the database across, and then we switch the domain name. Now, we've planned ahead. We'll make sure that we're on a platform like Cloudflare, which allows us to instantly switch IP addresses for domain names. We partner with platforms like Cloudflare, and we partner with platforms like Knock, that allows us to do that domain name switch effectively instantly. So the downtime and the user experience downtime is almost zero. Our client's experience is almost zero. And in almost every case, they go, oh, and it's faster and it
Yeah.
feels great. And my customers have all gone, wow, we haven't been on for a few days and everything's zippy or zingy, or I'm not getting those 502 errors, or I'm not getting that scrolling thing every time I click something and I wait. So we've done all those things to help the customer.
It's awesome. Well, I highly recommend Rapid Cloud. That's rapid.cloud. Check it out. You guys have like a chat on your website. What's the best way for people to get in touch with questions or,
If they go to,
about migration or getting started or which plan is right for me and things like that?
again, if they go to rapid.cloud, that little, the same support guy that's on our dashboard is available to new customers as well. They can ask a bunch of questions. Finn will give them some answers, but you can also go, hey, I need to talk to a human. And you can talk to our support team, and they'll provide a lot of information about plans and products. And even for bigger sites, we can also escalate that to our customer success team. Someone wants to organise a call with their CTO and their CFO and their alphabet of letters. We're happy to do those sort of things as well and help people plan strategies for what it looks like to be on the Rapid platform.
That's awesome, Wes. Thank you for coming on. I really
It's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And first and foremost, thank you for putting the customer first at the center, because that's how great businesses are built. And I know it when I see it. And as soon as I learned about Rapid Cloud, I'm like, oh, this is a company that married a problem. They're going to find a solution, and they're putting the customer at the center of the business, not the product, which is awesome. So my hat's off to you. Keep up the amazing work, and thank you for coming on and taking us on a tour and showcasing what you do at Rapid Cloud.
Cheers, Chris. It's been a pleasure.